everybody, and welcome to Roll Together RPG and to the next episode of our What the Heck Does That Card Do series. My name is Josh. I use he, him pronouns, and I shall be one of your hosts for tonight. And as you can see, I am joined by my second absolutely fabulous co-host who is going to speak about magic cards with me because we're nerds and we like talking about magic cards. Introduce yourself, please, Chris.
Hello, I am Chris. I use they, them pronouns. I'm ill, but I'm fighting through.
Fight the illness. Yes, this is What the Heck Does That Card Do, a series where Chris and I will speak about commanders from Magic the Gathering, legendary creatures, legendary artifacts, legendary this, legendary that.
Well, if they're legendary artifacts, they're not commanders unless they have power and toughness, because the rules have changed.
Yes, vehicles.
No. Some vehicles. It depends a little bit on how it works.
Well, it's a legendary vehicle, isn't it? That's the new rule.
Any kind of legendary that can acquire a power toughness bar. In other words, that can become a creature eventually.
So vehicles then, and stations.
So vehicles, stations, also not all vehicles because of the way the vehicles work. It doesn't matter. It's some vehicles don't do the thing that you want them to do.
Anyway, this series, for a little bit of behind the scenes sort of stuff, we like to record 2 episodes back to back. So Chris and I like to try and theme each recording on something in particular. The first one with Vihan and Ratadravik was decks that we had, our favourite sort of like pet decks sort of thing. Mine was Vihan, Chris's was Ratadravik. This one, we've gone for a Lord of the Rings theme. So this episode, we are going to be talking about a deck that I have, which is Sam, Loyal Attendant, and Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit. Now, this is one of the first precons that I actually ever bought. Josh, in his infinite wisdom, should have loaded up which precon it was that it came in. I didn't, but that was going to...
Food and Friendship, Lord of the Rings, green, black and white precon?
Something like that. It'll pop up on the screen now anyway, so you'll see it. But yes, so, and I didn't realise just how popular these two would be as food commanders, but it's one of the first ones that I got, so, and I like Sam and Frodo, so I got it.
You've got the EDH rec in front of you. What's their popularity in terms of because EDH rec lists most popular commanders of all time and just ranks them. What's their rank at the moment?
24.
Jesus Christ.
They're 24 in terms of overall commanders, but they're, I think, number 1 if you were to look up food.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense because they are very good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll get more into it as we get into the recording, but into the podcast. But
we'll go over now why they are so good. But what were you going to say? Sorry.
I was going to say, food in and of itself, because behind the scenes here, I had a food deck before. Sam and Frodo were a food deck, and it wasn't good. It was fine. There were some really interesting cards that are now all in the Sam and Frodo decks that people build over time, but it wasn't a really busy mechanic. I think I had every single card in it that mentioned food originally when I first built it, and that was not many because it was some Eldraine cards, a couple other bits and bobs from earlier sets, but it wasn't a sort of popular mechanic. And then the Lord of the Rings set with Hobbits obviously had a huge number of food cards, and it was a theme of the whole Lord of the Rings entire commanders standard set, the whole thing. So there was suddenly so many cards that work with food that you could just build out these incredible decks, taking everything that came beforehand and then all the great new toys, and it's still relentlessly popular. It's great.
It's very very good. I keep looking to see if there's a way for you to turn foods into creatures.
There is.
Food specifically.
No, not specifically. Artifacts,
not specifically. Yes. A bit like how Vihan can turn treasures into creatures, but there isn't one that specifically changes food into creatures. There is a way to turn them into creatures through other means, which we'll get into a little bit later. But food specifically, there isn't one.
I will eat my hat if there's not some kind of food thing in the Avatar: The Last Airbender set coming out later this year. Because
cabbages! My cabbages!
Yeah, there will definitely be some kind of food thing with the cabbages. I will bet you anything.
Yes, 100%. So, we'll go over what both of them do. We've spoken enough about the actual sort of concept of the foods and everything. But we'll start off with Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit. He costs just a white and a black. He is a halfling scout. His power and toughness is 1/3, and he has the ability partner with Sam, Loyal Attendant. That basically allows for both of them to be commanders, because normally you can only have one commander, but there are certain special occasions where you can have two. Partner is one of them. Background is another one, but that's a creature and a background, an enchantment, sorry. And then I think there's friendship is one.
All right, we can go into this if you like. So there's partner, which is just you can have any two cards that say partner on them, which was done to try and there was a commander product a couple of I think about 10 years ago now. I don't know for sure. Point is that broke the game because they're too good, and every single CEDH deck you see out there is a partner pairing of two of those partners. Not every single one, 9/10 of them. Then they decided that was too powerful, so they made partner with, where cards specifically partner with another card that is named. If you play one card, you can go dig through your deck to find the other card, or they can both be your commander.
Yeah.
Then they did Friends Forever for Stranger Things, and that meant that they could all partner with each other, only two at a time, obviously, but it was only the Stranger Things cards. And then, of course, the Universes Within version of those cards that they made when they thought that was a good idea, and they've stopped doing that now as well. So there's that.
Doctor
then there's
and Companion.
Companions, which also broke the game, where you could have a companion with your commanders, like a secondary companion that gave you a deck building requirement, and you could play it for free. But then they realized that was too powerful, so then you have to pay mana to play it outside your hand. They're still super powerful. You'll see them in CDH decks again. And then they've got backgrounds, legendary enchantments from originally Baldur's Gate, I think. I don't think they did it for Forgotten Realms the first time round. Yeah, it was Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, they were D&D things, yeah.
That's right. And then... am I forgetting one? I must be. There's another enchantment in the command zone, isn't there?
There might be, but there is Doctor's Companion.
There's Doctor's Companion, which is one where you can compare any Doctor Who, i.e. Time Lord Doctor Who, with a card that has Doctor's Companion, and they can then both be in the command zone as well. They keep trying to do this, and frankly, every time they do it, it sort of screws everything up.
Yeah, but they're going to keep doing it because it's widely popular, so...
Well, on a very base level, two commanders, any card that says your commander does X, your commander does Y, of which there are a few in the game, you get it twice. Instantly brilliant, very good, extremely powerful thing to be doing. Secondly, there are, especially in CEDH, and why it's so popular in competitive Commander, which neither Josh nor I think that highly of, but is a thing people do. It's because cards like Fierce Guardianship, and there are cards that say if your commander is out, you can cast this spell for free. Yeah. If you have two commanders, that's two pieces of removal to stop you from casting a spell for free. So there are effects like that where having two commanders is actually just frankly busted. Things like backgrounds, rain that in a little bit because...
Agent of the Iron Throne is the one that I'm thinking of, because that says commander creatures have, when a creature on your side of the field dies, each opponent loses one life. If you've got both of them on the field, they'll lose 2 life.
Exactly. So there's things like that. Generally speaking, the ones that are specifically paired, like Sam and Frodo are, I think the least egregious, because they've been sort of designed to work as a pair in the command zone, as we'll see when we talk about the cards a bit more. And it also means that if you're looking at that, you can be very careful designing around power level. You can be very careful that I've got two commanders. They have to be together because it's Sam and Frodo. They can't not be together in many ways. Let's make sure that their abilities synergize, obviously, but also that their abilities synergize in a way that is fun, not overbearing. And I think they nailed it with this one. Also, why it's so popular, I think, is it's not overbearing at all. It's just a really fun deck.
That's the question, actually, and this is something that I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
You have to have Frodo and Sam together, don't you? You can't choose to just have one of them, because I know with normal partners, you can have them on their own.
I mean, arguably, and this is a weird rules collocation, arguably, when you play Frodo, if Sam is somewhere in your deck, you could go find him and put him in your hand. But why you wouldn't have him in the command zone, I don't know. Could you play either of them individually? I guess, but
they're not the right colours. You wouldn't be able to have. You'd have to have both of them on the board in order to unlock the 3 colours that they are. So it wouldn't work.
I think you probably could, but I wouldn't. I think that's the way that's the way I'd describe it. Yeah.
Yeah. So Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit. He is white black for a 1/3 halfling scout. As I said, he's got partner with Sam, loyal attendant. He has vigilance, which comes in very handy. And his ability is whenever Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit attacks, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, dude, the ring tempts you. Then, if Frodo is your ring bearer and the ring has tempted you 2 or more times this game, draw a card. Ring temps is a mechanic that was introduced into through Lord of the Rings. It's a strange one because you can basically get ring tempted an unlimited amount of times. There's only when the ring does tempt you, it unlocks a new option on the token that you get given. The first one is your creature becomes the creature you equip it to becomes legendary, and it can't be blocked by creatures with greater power than it. And then the second one down is you get to draw a card and discard a card when you attack.
Yep.
The third one down is if this creature is blocked, destroy that creature. Destroy blocking creature if it's still alive. Yep. And the fourth one is if you deal combat damage, all opponents lose 3 life. Each time the ring tempts you, you can choose a new target of the equip. So and it can just keep going around, and it always stays at level 4, even if it gets removed from the board because its original equipment gets gone.
It can't get removed. The ring tempts you as an emblem. Emblems. You get emblems from some planeswalkers, even some creatures these days, and emblems basically are things that exist on the board that can't be interacted with. And the ring tempts you every time a card says the ring tempts you. You stack up, you level up this ability, and then whenever you level it up, you attach it to a creature, and then that creature gets all the effects on it. We talked about Ratadrabik, I want to say last week, could be the week before, I don't know when we bring these out, but Ratadrabik legendary things get copied, so it's particularly good in things like that. Generally
we did
speaking,
bring up the ring temps last week. I think we did bring that up because I brought up some of the infinite combos. Yeah, exactly.
Generally speaking, it's not very well received, and it's almost obvious why. Because it creates an uninteractable emblem. It makes the creature that it interacts with do some stuff that is really, really situational, and I mean specifically extremely situational.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really flavor-wise work, because if the ring tempts you, you get more powerful, and there's no downside.
This is true.
That being said, I am going to go out on a limb. I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to prognosticate that it might be. I think this card was designed for this commander.
Oh, yeah, with the way that it works, 100%. With him being a 1/3, oh, yes.
Exactly.
And then
let's just break this down, because to explain why Frodo works is quite important. Because Frodo says if you ever gain 3 life, ring tempts, right?
Yes.
Right. You gain 3 life from eating food. Food is an artifact that Sam makes. We'll get to that in a minute. And this deck makes a ton of food. So whenever you make a food and sacrifice a food to gain some life off it, you spend 2, tap it, sacrifice it, get 3 life. Whenever you do that, the ring tempts you because of what Frodo says.
Yeah.
Then that means that Frodo, in the first instance, before he does anything, he's already legendary, doesn't change anything, but he immediately cannot be blocked by something with greater power than him.
Yep, and he's a 1/3, so
he's
other than 1/1 tokens.
Exactly, which means that Frodo won't die in combat. What better way to explain how halflings would work in a Magic the Gathering world of dragons and golems and huge things of just run away again? It's perfect theming, and it totally fits what happens to Frodo, and it also means that you get the ring tempts you effects a lot and very quickly, which is quite hard to do in a ring tempts you deck that does it any other way. So what it does is means you get consistent damage off Frodo. It's only 1, it's not a lot. You get consistent card draw and discard effects, but Frodo's second ability says whenever the ring tempts you the second time, does it work?
Once the ring has tempted you 2 or more times, you instantly get to draw a card from Frodo. So once you've and then the second stage of the ring tempt is you draw a card and discard a card. So you stack the effect, so you draw a card from Frodo's effect, and then you draw off the ring's effect, so you then draw another card and then discard one. You're effectively drawing 2 cards every time he attacks, then discarding 1.
Exactly. So in 1 card, you have a draw engine, small amount of damage. Commander damage does add up. You take 21 commander damage, that's it, you lose the game. So that can stack up. And also the top end of the ring tempts you means that everyone starts taking 3 damage every time Frodo hits a person.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say this is... You can play the whole commander deck without playing Frodo once, and it still works perfectly fine. But it's just an excellent thing on top.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the only card with ring tempts you on it that I think actually, quote unquote, works the way it should do.
The way it should do, yeah. There are other decks where the ring tempts you is can be used to abuse certain abilities, like we said with Ratadravik, where it can be used to go infinite. There's another deck which Chris has, which is Smeagol, which can use the ring temps to basically make it a sort of land theft-esque mill your opponent out kind of deck.
We will talk about that card at some point because it is dirty, but it's a fantastic commander. But there, the ring tempts you. I mean, I'm using ring tempts in that deck to simply get as many lands as possible. It doesn't really have any bearing on story. It doesn't really make sense for Smeagol to be the person who gets ring tempted. Like, it's just, it's nowhere near as flavoursome. I'll give you that.
The next commander is Sam, Loyal Attendant. He is a white, green, and 1 for a halfling peasant. He is 2/4. He has partner with Frodo, Adventurous Hobbit, and he has, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a food token. Food tokens, we haven't really said what food tokens are. Food tokens are you pay 2, tap, and sacrifice it to gain 3 life. He has an additional effect, though, which is what makes him really good as a food commander. Activated abilities of foods you control cost 1 less to activate.
Right.
There you go. So food tokens cost 1 with him. And that's not, foods cost 1 with him because there are other food type things out there that aren't necessarily food tokens. Like there's food artifacts that you can get that came out after this set. Yeah, Heaped Harvest is one that I can think of where when it comes into the field, when it comes into play, you can go search in your library for a basic land card, put it onto the field, and then when it leaves, not only do if you tap and sack it as a food, costs 1 less because of Sam, you gain 3 life because it's a food, and then you get to go looking for another land. It's very good.
Just a quick, I've just done a quick Scryfall check of card type food. We've got Carrot Cake from Bloomburrow. When it enters and when you sacrifice it, create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token and scry 1. And for 2 and tap, sack it, you gain 3 life. So 2 tap and sack it, you gain 3 life is kind of the food type line, if you will. So all of them do that, but then some others have other abilities that work in similar fashion. And Sam discounts all of them, which is great. Although most of them, to be fair, are very situational.
Yes. I run Carrot Cake and Heaped Harvest in my Sam and Frodo deck just because I like my you'll see the deck list in the description below. My Sam and Frodo deck is geared to food tokens and also other tokens, which I'll get into when we get into the list of cards and things.
That's true. It certainly is.
Yes.
I will say that we are very, very shortly out from Edge of Eternity's releasing, and they've got 2 new food cards in there that might be interesting for this deck as well, although I don't think they really work as well. Anyway,
no.
That's another topic.
So the first card that I'm going to speak about is another halfling, and he is a good halfling, Peregrine Took.
Peregrine's not a good halfling. We've read the books. Some of us have read the books, some others of us have seen the films. Peregrine is famously a nightmare.
Yes, but he's a very good Magic the Gathering card.
All right.
So he costs a green and 2 for a 2/3 halfling citizen. And his effect is if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus an additional food token are created instead. So the way that pairs up with at the beginning of combat, when Sam makes you a food token, Peregrine will see that and go, here you go, have another one. So you get 2 foods. And there's a lot of, you'll see in my deck down below, there's a lot of cards that do stuff like that. So, there's Peregrine Took, there's another card I'll speak about later. There's Chatterfang. Whenever any number of tokens are created, create that many squirrels, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. The bit where I've sort of underlooked his second ability until recently, which is sacrifice 3 foods, draw a card. Now, there is a way to go infinite with that, which is redonkulous.
Go on.
Not infinite in terms of I just win the game, but it's like I can basically draw my entire deck. I can't remember the exact cards that go into it, but it's Peregrine Took. It's the Exceptional Confectioner, I believe it is.
Because whenever you make a food, you'll make 2. So as long as you can make 2 and sacrifice 3, I see.
The exceptional confectioner says that whenever you sacrifice a food token, create a rat token. So you sacrifice, and then you make a food, and then it's just an infinite cycle sort of thing, and you can just basically draw your entire deck. I think there is another card that's involved with it as well. There was a game that I played with my brother in a 4-player game, and he was running a food deck, a black and green food deck. And he had this combo out, but he also had a card called Nuka-Cola Machine out. So every time he was sacrificing his food tokens to make the rat tokens, he was getting tapped treasures as well, and it was just ridiculous.
Yeah. Nuka-Cola vending machine, which I'm not sure it's on our list of things to talk about, it should be on the screen right now, is an amazing... There's a whole sort of, like, avenue of these cards, of decks based around tokens that you can make. So artifact tokens, clues, food, treasures, landers now from Edge of Eternity, there's all sorts. I mean, people have talked about these decks before, like they're called tchotchke decks sometimes, or like artifact token decks. It's basically about making as many of these damn things as you possibly can and then using them to smash face. That's basically what they do.
I don't know if there is one.
Crazy.
I don't know if there is one in Edge of Eternities, but I'm hoping they release a card that says when you create a token, you create a lander token as well.
I've not seen one, but it might be. We'll have to talk about it when it comes out.
I'm hoping there is one, but yeah, that's my first pick. Peregrine Took. What's your other one, Chris?
I'm assuming you flashed up Nuka-Cola vending machine. I'm not going to go into it because it's there. You can see what
it's gone. It might still be there.
Grand. So, after Sam and Frodo was so successful, Watsy went, people like food decks. And then they made another one. About a year later, in Bloomburrow, they made Hazel of the Root Bloom, which I have. Yes. Hazel is a legendary squirrel druid. Tap, pay 2 life, tap X, untap tokens you control, add X mana in any combination of colours. At the beginning of your end step, create a token as a copy of target token you control. If that token is a squirrel, instead create 2 tokens that are copies of it. You'll notice the word food never turns up on that card. A lot of the cards in the precon that this came in make food, and a lot of the squirrels from Bloomburrow care about food, because tap X, untap tokens you control, add X mana in any combination of colours is a sick ability if you have tons of artifact tokens lying around. So, yes, she's great. She lets you use your foods to make mana. She doesn't make any particularly food tokens of her own, but on the end step, she makes a token as a copy of target token you control. Just make more food. It's a really easy way to do everything you're supposed to do. She cares about squirrels, and also I've built this entire deck around trying to make token copies of big bastard things by sacrificing them and making saw in half versions, and we'll talk about Hazel at some point as well. But yes, Hazel is very good in this deck. The precon that Hazel is the commander of, all the cards in it are cracked in this deck. I'm going to talk about 2 of them. Because Hazel, fine, you can add, is all right.
Hazel is in my Sam and Frodo deck, because I did buy that precon and took it apart to boost up Sam and Frodo. And Chris knows full well that, Sam and Frodo is one of my first decks. First time Chris and I met in person, I was playing my Sam and Frodo deck long before I realised, I should probably upgrade these. It is my most played deck.
Absolutely.
And out of all the times I've played it, I have had Hazel on the board, and we're talking like over 30 games with that deck out of all of the time that I've been playing. I've had Hazel on the board, and actually been able to use her ability once.
Yeah. Well, this is magic. This is variance. What you want.
The other time is I've had her in my hand. Another time is she hit the board and then was taken away. The rest of the time I've not seen her.
Yeah, it's often the way with cards in a deck that aren't your commanders. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. You have to sort of hope they turn up. Anyway, the 2 cards from this precon I'm going to particularly pick on as like the real good ones, the ones that like you should find them. Hazel's Brewmaster is 3 and a black for a creature, squirrel, or warlock, and it's a squirrel with the art's awesome. It has menace, great. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard and create a food token. Foods you control have all activated abilities of all creature cards exiled with this creature. This is so good, because foods are just things that sit on your board. Now, tapping them, sacrifice them to gain life, activates Frodo, and other things in the deck that Josh will no doubt go through in a second. There's a good reason to have foods. But if you have foods lying around, and if you play this card, no other activation required, and there's, I don't know, a mana dork in your graveyard. Sorry, a mana dork is a creature that taps to add mana. All of your foods now tap to add mana. If there's a creature in your graveyard that says, tap this to give all creatures a 1/1 counter, all of your foods tap to give all creatures 1/1 counters. It's insane. It's so good. It works so flavorfully with everything else that's going on. And you will note the wording. Whenever this creature enters or attacks, you can keep doing it. It has menace. It's less likely to die. To exile up to 1 target card from a graveyard.
I was just about
not
to say,
even
did it say
your
a
own
graveyard?
So if your opponent's played this really awesome creature with activated ability and it dies, well, I'll just ping that person for 3, and I'm going to take that activated ability over there that says, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the most heinous activated abilities I can think of. Are Eldrazi activated abilities? There must be.
Probably, I don't know. I hate Eldrazi, so
It's fair.
probably not. I don't know, but there's like we played a game earlier today where you were using what's it called? Vizier Seer.
Yeah.
That's the one, and that's an activated ability. Sacrifice a creature to scroll 1.
Scroll 1. Yeah. Really
Do that with
card.
a food token. Instead of the creatures sacrificing the foods to eat them, the food are now turned on the creatures.
Hazel's Brewmaster is very high on the EDH rec list, so everyone knows it's good. You should definitely play it in Sam and Frodo in any deck that says the word food on anything you're getting, because it's just so good. And the other one I'm going to pick up on is another squirrel.
I think you'll notice that it's not in my Sam and Frodo deck, but that's because I've got so many other things going on in the deck.
Point is, that works very well if you've got a lot of foods lying around.
Yeah.
Which you might do. Josh's deck in particular sacrifices all the foods it makes pretty quickly. Like, you don't normally have 10 or 15 foods lying around. You're usually using them turn on turn. So it doesn't work as well if you're going that direction. But if you want to do something where you're just hanging on to foods, maybe using them occasionally, or using them to do something else with them, they're very good there. Anyway, the other card from Hazel you should definitely pick up for Sam and Frodo is Honored Stray Leader, 2 and a green, Squirrel Warrior. It has Trample. When this creature enters, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each other squirrel and or food you control. Whenever another squirrel or food you control enters, put a 1/1 counter on this creature.
Yeah,
so
it's a 1/1 counter every turn because of Sam's ability, at minimum.
At minimum. And if you have any other squirrels that happen to be in the deck, even more. And if you have other things that make food, even more. And the joy of it is, which I've found, and when I've played it in my Hazel deck, the same thing. You think like, oh no, but if it dies, it'll lose all the counters. Yeah, it will, no question. But if the squirrels are still on the board, or if you happen to have a couple of food lying around, you'll play it and it suddenly gets all the counters again, and then it gets more every time you do things. It builds from nothing to huge so quickly that you suddenly, like my Hazel deck, I try very hard to make a token copy of it, because then there's token copies of it that then all get the counters and all get bigger and all see each other and all get bigger.
I've been against, Chris and I have had a game before where Chris has used a card called Saw in Half on that card, and then used Hazel's ability, because I don't think Chris mentioned this before, but if Hazel's ability is used on a squirrel token on a squirrel, it makes 2 of them rather than 1 token.
That deck we'll probably talk about in a separate episode at some point because it's hilarious. But yes, because WotC decided that food decks were cool, they made a whole bunch more cards after Sam Frodo. So don't just go like, oh, the Lord of the Rings ones, these are the best ones. No. Look to the ones they made afterwards. And even more, they're going to make more food decks over time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this will be the kind of deck you can constantly add more cards and tweak forever, is basically the point I'm making. But yes,
100%.
I've talked a lot. Josh, pick a card.
My next card is a card that I spoke about, I believe, in the Feehan episode. I spoke about, it wasn't in my list, but it was a card that I spoke about as part of a combo. And that is Mirkwood Bats. Mirkwood Bats, I believe, comes in this pre-con.
Yes, I think so.
And it is a black and 3 for a bat creature. It's 2/3 power and toughness. It has flying, so it's good for blocking. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent loses 1 life, which in a deck that when Sam is out, you're getting a token every turn, and you're pretty much sacrificing it every turn to get a ring tempt. It's 2 life minimum every turn, or 1 life minimum every turn. I
can't think how many copies of Mirkwood Bats I now have. It must be nearing 10, because in any deck that makes tokens, or any deck that sacrifices tokens, which a lot of them do, because tokens are cheap things to make, and if you have any kind of sacrifice out of there, cheap things to sacrifice. Most things say whenever you make a token, gain a life, or opponent loses a life. Whenever you sacrifice a token, gain a life, opponent loses a life, whatever, like, there's different things. Mirkwood Bats has it all. It's whenever you make or sacrifice a token, everyone loses a life. It's just, it's bonkers.
And it's a flying creature as well, so it has a little bit of evasion attached to it as well, if you do want to attack with it. And it's got a relatively big butt, so you can block with it as well.
I'm amazed at how cheap it still is, because it's so good and it's everywhere, and it's still relatively inexpensive.
It's such a good card, and it pairs well with so many other cards that do similar sort of things. It's just there's like a 3-card. It's not a combo, but there's like a 3-card synergy that I like to try and run in decks that make and sacrifice things. Mirkwood's Bats being the center card. I won't go over what the other ones are.
We'll talk about other decks that do it another time.
We'll talk about them in other decks in the future. So, but yes, that is my next pick.
Right. It's time to go strange, folks. We've had some of the more like classic, these cards are good, or these cards came out recently and they're also good. Now it's time for the weird, and these are the ones you want to play when you want to freak someone out. So Josh's deck is, the way Josh has built his Sam and Frodo deck, which I think has probably become clear here, it's all about making and sacrificing tokens as much as possible. There's a lot of what tends to be called, aristocrats, where the idea is that you make and sacrifice things and people lose life. So there's not a lot of attacking going on. There tends to be quite a lot of, Josh sits there, goes, do this, 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 you all lose 10 life. And that's how that deck works. Nothing wrong with that. I have no beef with aristocrats. If anything, it means that as a player, it's my job to try and break that down, and that's quite hard at times, so that's good. However, that's not the only way you can take this deck. Because you're sacrificing foods every turn, and you can do it for cheap, you're gaining life every turn. Life gain in Magic is a complicated thing. For me personally, but also in generally, in terms of people building decks, because gaining life is all well and good. It's very easy to look at, like, I now have 40 life. I play this card, it gains 6 life. I have 46 life. I'm winning. But you're not really. You've increased an arbitrary number somewhat arbitrarily, because, take it from people who play quite a lot, when you get to the end game, you're doing 20, 30 damage in combat. That's quite normal. So unless you're getting to, like, hundreds and hundreds of life gain, it really doesn't matter. Also, commander damage, i.e. you take 21 and you die, doesn't care how much life you've got.
And that is the reason why it needs to stay a thing as well, is for those decks that can up their life by a stupid amount. I
think, there's a debate, and it's a totally fair debate of, does commander damage absolutely negate the point of using life gain in commander? Because life gain is very, well, not anymore. There was a time where it was very common and a really easy way to get quite a lot out of Standard and Pauper and other formats where, your life actually matters. I think what it means for Commander is that you can't hide behind a wall. And in Commander, it's so easy to gain like 50 life by sneezing. Like, it's not, you can do that. There are many ways to do that in the game, and it's not difficult. And because most people don't care, they go, all right, gain 50 life. Who gives a fuck? Like, it's your choice. It won't. It's sort of a mixed blessing in many ways. So a lot of life gain decks, you will see There's like a standard package of cards of whenever you gain life, make a token. Whenever you gain life, draw 4 cards, like using the life gain as payoff. In other words, I've got 4 cards that say whenever X happens, gain a life. And I've got 4 cards that say whenever I gain a life, X happens. A lot of them are very standard. You'll see them quite a lot. They get around a bit. I've got some weirdos that I would like to share with you. This one is called Witch of the Moors, and this artwork is phenomenal. It's a lady with a cowled hood and the apple and the thing, but she's got way too many arms. It's great. It's from Jumpstart, of all things, which was a sort of, let's try and get some cards into people's hands pretty easily set from, God, 2000 and what? 2024, 2020. Yeah, so this card has not seen a huge amount of play. 3 black, human warlock. That's supposed to be human. That's okay.
But you can't see under the hood, so...
Yeah. Anyway, Death Touch. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice, and you return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good card.
Just to be clear on why this card is busto, it's a 4/4 with Death Touch. In other words, it just sits on your board. You can attack with it, but don't, because it's a 4/4 with Death Touch means it blocks most things. The things that it can't block, 5 power, 6 power, 7 power, you can't block those anyway unless you're doing anything clever. But all the little things that might get through, nope. And also, it's got Death Touch, so even if someone's got a 2020 behemoth monster trying to swing in at you, if you block with this, their 2020 monster will still die. Death Touch is an amazing ability in Magic, and to put it on a 4/4 is just like, it's just to get the fuck away from my board. You can't do shit here. And it's in a 4-player game. Nothing says I'll hit someone else like a 4/4 with Death Touch. So already, great start. At the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, you will gain life every turn. Each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. It's called an edict in Magic when you force people to sacrifice things. If they've got loads of small tokens, who gives a shit? But if they've got like 4 creatures on board and they're all really good, edicts start to eat into people's board states really quickly, and they're really, really good. So much so that some people don't like to play with them at all, and will tell people, if there's edicts in your deck, I'm not playing. So give an idea of how reviled this is as a theory. Most cards would stop there. Most cards would say, if you gain life this turn, each opponent sacrifice a creature of their choice. Full stop. But then it also says, return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. It gives you, inside 1 creature, the ability to block everything that comes your way and stop people from attacking you, the ability to whittle down everyone else's board states, and anything that you have that dies goes back into your hand, you can play it again. The ability to do that all on 1 creature on every end step is phenomenal. I do not understand why more people don't play this. It's insane.
Does it say on each of your end steps or on every end step?
At the beginning of your end step. It's only on your end step.
I was going to say, because if you to sacrifice a food token on somebody else's turn...
no, it's not that good. But it's still... That's really good. Why do people play this stuff? Yeah. That's insane. It's so good. Anyway, that's... Sorry, I get quite het up about this fact that here's this amazing card and no one's playing it in life gain decks. Like, it's so obviously amazing in a life gain deck.
There was
unbelievable.
I actually took my one out of my deck for another card that has a recursion ability, but it doesn't have the sacrifice ability. It was Saint Celestine. I took it out for.
Yes.
And it gives me a fly. It's a flyer as well, so it gives me flying block.
Yes.
It's not Death Touch or anything, but that was kind of it was like, which one do I keep? Which one do I get rid of?
Well, I'm going to suggest you made an error. Anyway, that's mine. Go on.
My next card is in my deck. Most of these are. And it is a card that ramps up our token generation. Manufactures them, as some might say. This is Academy Manufactor, sorry. This is a 3 colorless, so it doesn't cost any colored mana to do, so it can go in any deck. For an assembly worker, if you would create a clue, food, or treasure token, instead create 1 of each. Now, this is a replacement effect. So as soon as Sam goes to make you a food token, Instead of that food, you get a clue, food, and treasure. If you also have Peregrine on the field as well, you would create a clue, food, treasure, and then another food on top of it. There's not a way to... It doesn't work to stack Peregrine's effect first, because it wouldn't make you a...
You can't make it before it makes it.
And yeah, it wouldn't make you 2 of each. So if you had all of them on the field at the same time, you would do Sam, manufacture, and then Took is the way to do that.
I have 2 things to say about Academy Manufacturer. One, it's in every single one of these decks that you know. Anyone who makes any decks that make treasures, any decks that make food, any decks that make clues has this card in it. It is so good. And 2, it has to be. And 2, I have seen arguments that it should be a game changer, and I think that's fascinating.
I can see it. I can understand it. I can definitely understand it.
It turns any old I make an artifact token effect into a triplicate effect of that. And those artifacts can be tapped to gain life, draw cards, or make treasure. Or like in most of these decks, it doesn't matter what they do, it's just the word artifact. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the only reason that it's not a game changer is because there's not a way to make, other than probably with clues out of the 3, there isn't a way to make an obnoxious amount of them in one turn easily.
Yeah, there is.
Easily.
Oh, yeah, there is. Easily, maybe not. Easily, maybe not.
Well,
I'll give
really
you that.
easily, but clues there is. Like, what's it called? Investigate is something from that can go off really quickly. So I can understand it in that way. If they were to bring cards out that did something similar to that for foods and for treasures, then I can see this card becoming a game changer, 100%. I wouldn't be mad about it because it makes sense.
I have a third Doctor deck who I haven't got the card up, but he gets +1/+1 for every artifact token you control. Yeah. So Candy Manufacturer in that deck is cracked in half. The number of times I've gone, oh, that's commander damage. It's just you don't notice. It's so quick, and yeah, it's just busted. This is really to go on. I don't go on about it. I think it's overplayed. It's amazing, but why play that
for a reason?
Why play that when you could play a Sproutback Trudge? A Sproutback Trudge.
Is that a creature?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
7 green.
Okay.
For a fungus beast.
You're not selling me on it so far.
The spell costs X less to cast, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn.
Okay, now you're selling me on this card.
It has trample.
Oh, yeah.
It's a 9/7.
Okay.
At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, you may cast this creature from your graveyard.
So unless he gets exiled, he is a permanent pain in the butt.
All right, let's talk about this. I think it was first printed in Commander 2021. Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure that Sproutback Trudge is like because we'll get to it in a second, but there was a whole food like theming to Strixhaven. The it's not Golgari. The green and black in Strixhaven's, what's it called? Ooh, there's a word for it because Strixhaven gave them all new names and they didn't really catch on.
Just anyway, Golgari. That's what people know.
Yeah, the Golgari bit of Strixhaven, which I thought this was from, but it looks like it isn't. But the art design's the same. Confusing. Their food stuff and their food theming was all in this sort of direction. Swamp, awful, nasty food. And this card was in... It says it wasn't, but I'm sure it was in the Willow Dusk, because that's one of the first precons I got. And that was also themed around food and around recursion from the graveyard. This thing is bananas. It's bananas.
I hadn't heard of it, so that's why it's not in my deck.
Okay, like I've played a game with this where I was making 2 food a turn. So what I would do is I would sack 2 food a turn. I'd sack them normally. If it was out, I'd attack with it, and if it died, sack 2, 3, it's back.
Yeah.
If it wasn't out, sack 2 food, gain the life, play it, and then you can't attack anyway because it's just a trampling 9/7 sat on your board, and if someone kills it, Make 2 food, sack 2 food, out it comes again. It is the world's best blocker. It's an amazing attacker. If you can give this monster haste on top of all of that, and there are plenty of cards that say give all creatures haste or give this creature haste, it's a meanie. It's a big old recurring nightmare meanie. And in a deck where you will gain life every turn, like spending 4 green on it every turn is ridiculously too expensive. But if you're making 2 foods a turn and sacking 2 furs a turn, it costs 3 mana. It costs nothing. And it's just... And every time you can play it from the graveyard, every time... Also, because it's at the beginning of your end step, you play cast creature from your graveyard, it comes out and it sits on your board and goes, if you don't kill this, I'm attacking you with it next turn. And it's a 9/7 with trample. And if you do kill it, it'll come back and I'll do it again. It's perfect constant threat. It's real good.
Yeah.
Again, no one plays this card. It's 20p.
Well, I didn't know it existed, so I might have to add it into my deck. So
too many cards in Magic. You've got to look through all the weirdos. All of them.
No. My next one, I've actually decided to divert away from the creatures, and I found a sorcery.
Yeah.
Again, my side of these conversations is I always go for the cards that have more than 50% synergy with the commanders and are in more than 50% of the decks.
Right. There is a reason why people play cards that are good in decks. I'm not going to sit here and say you shouldn't play stuff that has high synergy that everyone plays. If you have an Academy manufacturer, don't not play it because of desperate need to be a hipster. Play good cards. Just play weirdos mixed in between.
Just add the hipsters in as well. This one is the Battle of Bywater.
It's from the precon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in the precon actually, so I didn't get mine. And I have one, but it wasn't in the precon. It was in the set.
It's not in the. It's the Battle of Bywater. It's a battle of hobbits. Like, why is it not in the precon?
Because it's really good. It's a sorcery. It costs 2 white and 1. Destroy all creatures with power 3 or greater. Then create a food token for each creature. That's why it wasn't in the precon.
Oh man!
And the deck is meant to be. There's not many +1/+1 counters that goes around unless you run Rosie Cotton in the deck. There's not really many 1/1 counters that get thrown around. It is meant to be, at least the version of the deck that I make is build a lot of 1/1 tokens, 2/2 tokens. Things that are less than 3.
Frodo's a 1/3. Sam's a 2/4. All the power pieces that you need aren't going to go with this, whereas a lot of other people's boards will.
Yeah. So it's just an incredibly good card.
Yeah.
That took me an incredibly long time to get my hands on, and I haven't put in and it needs to go in my deck. It will be in the deck list below. I haven't actually put it in the deck yet because I haven't gone back to edit in the deck yet.
Is it super pricey?
No, it's just really hard to get hold of. I got it for 50p, I think, but it's just out of stock everywhere for ages.
Right. Yeah, that is also a thing that happens.
Yeah. So yes, that is my other pick.
All right. We were talking about Strixhaven, and we were talking about Strixhaven having black-green food life gain synergies.
Yes.
Strixhaven also did a very cool thing that they've not done since. I can sort of understand why, because people just don't play these cards because they're really hard to grog. They're a legendary creature on both sides. They're a double-sided card. Both sides of the card are usually a dean of one of the colleges, and one is mono one color and one is mono the other.
Okay.
So bear with me while I run through what this card does. So Valentin, Dean of the Vein, is a legendary vampire warlock with menace and lifelink. He costs a single black mana. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. When you do, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with, when this token dies, you gain 1 life. And he's a 1/1.
Very cool.
So that's not good. It's fine. And frankly, if you have him in your hand and you need to play a 1/1 menace lifelink creature early game, do. That's perfectly fine. What you want this card for is the other side, which is Lizette, Dean of the Root. 2 green, legendary human druid. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 1 generic mana. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain trample until end of turn.
Okay, yeah, that's very good. That has to be an expensive card, surely.
39p. Whenever you gain life, just to be clear, every time you crack a food, every time you gain life. If you crack multiple foods in one turn, which Sam lets you do for 1 mana, if you spend 2 mana instead, every creature you own gets a 1/1 counter and gets trampled till end of turn.
Yeah.
Now, Josh's version of this deck doesn't go wide. Josh's version of this deck is all about like ping damage, and that's fine. This kind of effect is called an overrun. And overruns usually cost 3 green or something similar. Like, they're expensive to play. And overruns win games. There is no denying that whenever I have an overrun in hand, I go, cool, I think I've won. Because on your turn, you play an overrun, unless they've got some kind of board wipe in hand, everything you've got on your board is bigger and will trample over a defender. Suddenly, all of the combat math of I can block that with that and I can block that with that, gone. Suddenly, everything on your board is going straight in. And it does it based on life gain, which your deck wants to do every time anyway.
Yeah.
It's a great card.
It's basically, if you've got Sam out on the field, Sam gives you the reduction of the food. So costs 1 instead of 2. For the 2 mana that it would normally cost you to crack a food, you're cracking a food to gain 3 life, and all of your creatures are getting 1/1 counters on them.
I mean, even in Josh's version of the deck, let's put this in a contextual point where Frodo, Sam, and the Mirkwood Bats are out, because we've been talking about them quite a lot. Play Battle of the Bywater. Opponent's stuff dies, you make 10 treasures, let's say. And you're on turn probably about 10. Play Lizette. That costs you 4. And then you can spend another 6 mana, so that's 3 foods, 3 things, to make all of them get +3/+3 and get trample. And these are counters. The 3/3 doesn't go away. It stays there forever. Suddenly, you've got 3 slightly large creatures than you were expecting with nothing on the board doing roughly 15 to 16 damage to everybody. Well, to the person that they hit. But this is the kind of combat math you can come into, and that's with 3 random things that don't really want to attack people that much. If you have a Sproutback Trudge, it just gets even worse. But yes, I see Josh is looking it up to put it in his deck, so there we go.
I will be putting it in my deck. It's just I just changed one of the cards on my list at the last moment. It was supposed to be there, but for some reason it wasn't on my list. So, but
all right,
yeah,
I'm done with that one.
about.
What was it? Go on.
So this one is Sanguine Bond.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Now, Sanguine Bond, for anyone, it's an enchantment. It is 2 black and 3, and it says whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life.
Ew.
Which is a very good card. Now, it does go infinite with a card called Exquisite Blood. Exquisite Blood.
Or the Conquistador, or all the other cards. There are so many cards that say this.
Yeah. And basically, Exquisite Blood's effect is whenever you deal combat damage, you gain that much life. So you gain life, they then lose that much life because of Sanguine Bond, and then it's an infinite loop sort of thing.
Yep.
I don't run that infinite loop in this deck because there have been games where I have done it. I have had both cards in the deck, and I've had Exquisite Blood in my hand. And the deck is not designed to be an aggressive attacking deck. It is, as Chris said, it is more of a ping deck. So running a card in there just to run an infinite combo, and it has no other utility, is pointless. So I took it out and I put it into a deck that actually does play aggro. But yeah, I like running Sanguine Bond in Sam and Frodo on its own. It's very hard to sort of tell for people to persuade the people that I'm playing with that I don't run the other one. It's not also in there because it doesn't benefit the deck.
We also alluded to it earlier, like Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood. There are many cards that have the same effect as Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood. So even if you're not playing Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood, if you're playing Veto Thorn of the Dusk, if you're playing Hungry Conquistador, whatever it's called, there's so many other cards that do the same thing. You can just go, well, I'm not playing any of them. So, okay.
Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. Okay. I believe you. But that's literally the only one out of that set that I play. I did think there was an infinite combo in there because I run a card in there called Dina Soul Stealer or Stopper or something.
No,
but
it's
her
capped.
Effect is different.
It's capped. Yeah, it's only one. Yeah.
So I was glad about that because I thought about it. I was like, well, if it does go infinite, then I'm not going to run it. But then it didn't. I was like, well, I'm going to run it then because it's burn. So
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I have one final sort of area of cards to discuss, if you will, and there's a couple of cards that fall into this.
I'm going to go into my what they called my guilty pleasure cards after this.
Interesting. Cool. Well, then in which case I will start with this. So we talked about life gain and it being a payoff. Like we talked about the trudge and how there are things where gaining life does stuff. Gaining life doing stuff is all well and good. And frankly, you can find many cards where you can do this and therefore, you know, get more stuff out of your deck. There are also quite a lot of cards that let you pay life to do stuff. And if you're constantly gaining life, you may have some that you don't need. Beladros Witherbloom is a dragon. Is an elder dragon. It's a legendary creature. Witherbloom is the name of the college from Strixhaven. There we go, we found it. 5 black and green, flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when this token dies, you gain 1 life. Yay, irrelevant.
Well, not so irrelevant because that goes off on every person's upkeep. So by the time it gets back around to your turn, you've got 4 of them.
Okay.
It's 4 blockers.
I think it's irrelevant. 4 blockers that gain you 1 life each. Sure. Okay. I suppose gain 1 life each that then triggers everything else that life gains. All right, fine. Pay 10 life, untap all lands you control. Activate only once each turn. This is busted. It's so good. Especially in later turns when you have 10 mana on the board. 10 mana sounds like a lot, and it is if you're playing a couple of small creatures, but one big creature will eat all of it. And you'll go, here's my one big creature, and unless it has an ability that activates immediately or it does something awesome with haste, there it is. Pass. Is really difficult because you're there going, I've done something really cool, but it's not what I can do. I've just got it here and now I'm doing it. Or you play a sorcery that costs 10 mana that lets you draw a billion cards. Yay. Like, or you play a board wipe or whatever. My point being, once you get to the point in the game where you've got a lot of mana on the board and where you're gaining life consistently turn on turn with Sam's ability, the ability to pay 10 life and untap all your lands is really, really good. Suddenly you have a ridiculous amount of mana. You can cast multiple spells. You can use that mana to activate all the things we already talked about that require mana. It's just a really good ability. I would say Beladros, if I had this deck, and I don't, I would put it at the top end. 7 mana is expensive. Like, you don't want that many cards that cost 7 mana, but having that and knowing that it's in your deck somewhere and that you might draw it when you've got like 12 lands on the board and going, and I've got 50 life at the moment, even though I've taken 10 commander damage.
I've done it before. I've had Beladros isn't in my deck anymore because I've taken it out because I want to make a deck around Beladros.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So it's not in there for that reason, but it was in there and it was one of the main cards. And the pay 10 life ability to untap all lands is not just on your turn. You can do it on your opponent's turns as well. So I would use it. There was one game that I played in a pod of 4. In a pod of 4, I literally just I had 50 life, and I paid 40 life on the turn going around to my turn on each person's turn to create myself enough mana to create myself enough blockers with the tokens that I had with the card that I'm going to speak about in a little bit, in order to defend myself, while also using that mana to crack my food tokens to put my life back up because I had a ton of food tokens that I gained over the course of the game. Yeah,
I mean, it's expensive. You're going to spend about a $5 on this card. But it's really good. It's in the Bloomborough precon that's in Hazel's precon. Like, that's how good it is.
That precon is still sitting at £95.
Oh God! Yeah, always buy precons in pre-sales. Always buy precons in pre-sales.
That's why I have taken Witherbloom out of Sam and Frodo because I can't justify buying another one.
That's entirely fair. It's a really good card. I'm going to let Josh take over because I've got other things to talk about in terms of paying life. Go on.
This one is a card that has... This is my first guilty pleasure card. This card has absolutely no right being in this deck. It should not be in this deck whatsoever. But I just love the bastard so much.
This card does not synergize. It's not good, but I love it anyway. Great.
That's what guilty pleasures are. Cards that we love that might not necessarily work with the deck, but we like having them. We love having them in there.
You and I have very different definitions of guilty.
This is the perfect card for that sort of guilty pleasure thing. Loyal subordinate. It goes with my burn strategy.
Yeah.
So he's a black and 2 for a 3/1 zombie. He has menace. Don't ever want to attack with him. He has Lieutenant. I'm not saying it the other way. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, each opponent loses 3 life. Now, the reason why he's in there, one, because my deck is geared to be more burn.
Yep.
It deals damage to each opponent. Yep. And my deck has 2 commanders, so it's more likely to go off.
Or it goes off twice, doesn't it?
No, it only goes off once. If you control your commander.
Yes, bad. Wrong wording.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that unsynergistic or problematic. It's a burn deck. You want to burn things. It makes sense.
Mine's a burn deck, but if you were to go more on the food side of things, then it's not such a great card to have in there. But I just think he works for me personally, he works perfectly in the deck. He's just and people kind of ignore him until they're like, hang on a minute, I've taken 9 damage over the past couple of turns. Why?
Yeah.
Because this card's on the board and he sat there, but then I've got like Sam, and then I've got all of these other legendary creatures on the board that are doing all of these other things. And it's like, you either deal with my Peregrine Took, who's making me more food tokens, or you deal with my commander, or you deal with the thing that's burning you for 3 damage every turn.
Also, that this is a deck, and it's a good example of a deck actually, which screws with people's removal. Because removal in Magic is good. The ability to take someone's card and go, you don't have this card anymore because I play this card. It's a good effect. I personally think people play too much removal. Another conversation for another time. But generally speaking, removal works really well when you've got a commander that is really good and is doing lots of things. Someone goes, cool, I remove your commander. And you go, cool, I can recast it for more mana on a later turn. That's fine. But for this turn, I am stuck. Is a pretty common thing.
Yeah.
In this deck, 2 commanders, a whole bunch of creatures that work really well with it. If you're going, well, I've got this removal piece, so I can remove one of them. Knowing which one to remove is not easy. Because one activates, one works, one does this, one does that, one does that. The answer is Sam. But that's not always obvious.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like, this thing's burning me for 3 every turn. And if I kill Sam, I'll still get burned for 3 every turn because Frodo's still out. If I kill Frodo because you're drawing cards off Frodo, you'll still get all the foods off Sam, which activate everything else. If I kill Sam, your engine starts to slow down, but you still get foods in other places, and you can still crack foods. Nothing's stopping you from doing that. Yes. It is tricky, and that card does a really good job in going, what are you hitting? Like, good luck picking what the best choice is here. It's also why two commanders and the ability of a commander card to trigger off any commander is good. This is just it reinforces that cards that say whenever your commander X are just great in a 2-commander deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Greed is a card from, I want to say 4th edition. It's an old card. It's been around for absolute yonks, and for my money, if you're gonna play Greed, go get the folio art. It's Phil Folio art. It's real. Phil Folio is as Magic art goes, Phil Folio does comics and very quirky art. It's often a bit more comic book like than most people tend to like from their super high fantasy game, but I absolutely love Phil Folio. And the original Folio Greed, which I hope is the one that Josh has on screen right now, but I don't know, is definitely the best one. Greed is a really simple card. 3 and a black. It's an enchantment. Black, pay 2 life, draw a card.
No drawback.
Pay 2 life.
Oh, pay 2 life. Sorry, I didn't hear the pay 2 life bit. Yep.
For a black and pay 2 life, draw a card. Does not tap the card. You can do that as many times as you have mana and life. And in this deck, if you're building up tons of life, and if you happen to have plenty of black mana lying around, which you should do, grind it out. This card, you can get cheap versions of it. You don't have to get the most expensive version of it. It's been around for yonks. It doesn't turn up on EDH Rec for this deck. I don't understand why not. It seems pretty clear that it's just a really obvious value piece in a deck that gains a ton of life.
It is strange. There aren't as many cards on the main. When we look at EDH Rec for these lists, when I do, I look at the general list rather than clicking on the tags. I just look at the general list, and there isn't many cards on there that say pay life and do this. I think Phyrexian Arena is on there, which is at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and draw a card. I think that's on there, but there's other cards that aren't on there that you'd think would be.
It's so weird because I would class Greed as a staple.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a thing, because like, I'm not saying I've played Magic for a lot longer than anyone else has. That's not true. But I do tend to look at like cards that were staples in the 90s and go, well, those are staples. And then some of them aren't anymore because they've been power crapped. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
I don't think this has been power crapped. I can't think of any other card that does a similar effect. Like, it's in every enchantment deck I have that plays black.
You've got Vampiric Rites, which is for a black and one, sacrifice a creature, draw a card, but that's a similar effect.
But then Vampiric Rites, Costly Plunder, what's it called? Altar's Reap. There's hundreds of instants and sorceries that say sack a creature, pay something, draw a card. Like, that's fine. This is very simply have it on the board, and it's a perfect grind engine. And if you're in a deck that life gains, why would you not have it? Like, I play this in decks that don't life gain, and it's still amazing because drawing cards, especially if you don't play tutors, I don't play tutors because I don't want to go and get the best card. I want to try and find it. The ability to go, well, I'm at 10 life. I may as well draw 4 cards because 10 and 2 is no difference at then high level play at the end of the game. Like, who cares? I'll just draw 4 cards. And if that's enough to draw me into the thing that I need to win, who cares?
Yeah.
Anyway, Greed. Absolute gold star classic. And you should play it in any life gain deck that has black in it.
Yeah.
Enough said.
My next card, this is a card that don't think appears on the EDH track. I didn't see him on there. It is Halsin, Emerald Archdruid.
Oh, yes, in my clues deck. So good.
Yeah. He is a green and 3 for a Elf Druid 2/4, and his ability is pay 1, no tap, just pay 1 mana. Tap 1 mana. Until end of turn, target token you control becomes a green bear creature with base power and toughness 4/4, in addition to its other colours and types. He also has choose a background, but that's more for if he's a commander. This is a really good card, especially because you are playing in green. The chances of you ramping into lots of mana by the end game is really, really good. His effect is not stopped by summoning sickness because he doesn't have to tap. So there was a game that I played the first time I ever used him against Chris. I had a whole bunch of squirrel tokens on the board, a whole bunch of foods and treasures, and I played him down. And I sacrificed my treasures and used the remainder of my mana. I had 12 mana at the total on the board, so I used 8 of it to create. I turned the squirrels into bears and the foods, and I just swung out and won.
Yeah, because 4/4 is so big.
Yes,
like we said it earlier with Witch of the Moors. Most creature cards and like things that sit on the board that are value pieces that are there because they draw cards and because they do something else. They're 1, 2, 3 power. In recent years, they become like 3, 4, 5 power. It's starting to move more in that direction, but 4/4, making a token a 4/4 is suddenly a big threat. And because tokens have been on the board for you beforehand, presumably, they're not summoning sick. You're basically creating hasty 4/4s. And that's surprisingly effective very often, especially if you've got, say, 5 mana left over from something you're doing. You've got happen to have 5 food lying around that you haven't cracked yet. You go, cool. Instead of doing the life gain, I'm just going to make 20 power and hit you. And someone goes, that's way more than I thought you'd be able to do. Like it's so quick and it's so effective.
And the thing is as well with that double-faced Dean card that you mentioned earlier, the one that if you give if all of those tokens have got +1/+1 and trample, they then become 4/4 bears with the +1/+1 tokens and trample.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, that's really good.
Halsin's great. He's in my clues deck. It's the same thing. You make a ton of clues and just sit around on the board, and then suddenly they're all 4/4 bears. That's a very quick and very effective move. Right. Betrayers of Kamigawa was not a well-regarded set, and there's many reasons why. They tried really hard to do a top-down Japanese setting. It didn't really work. There were all sorts of problems with it, and the way that design was functioning at the time, 12 mana casting costs for creatures was normal. Anyway, a lot of it is very not great modern era. Blessing of Leeches, which is a name of a card, and the artwork is it's a lady with a cloak Oh, I think she's taking a cloak off. She's getting into some water. I think she's disrobing, but the cloak is covered in leech. It's real weird and sort of grim. Anyway, it's a 2 and a black aura, has flash, enchant creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life. And for 0, no tap, regenerate enchanted creature. Now, regenerate is an old effect. It doesn't get printed on cards much anymore because it is complicated. Basically, if the creature would die at any point, you tap it, remove from combat if necessary, and it doesn't die. It basically gets sort of a shield. Oh, it would die. 1 tap, off we go. It's a really good effect. Yeah. The whole you lose 1 life at the start of your upkeep is a downside, obviously, but in a deck where you're getting life all the time, it's not important. Pop that on Sam. 9/10 of removal. A lot of what people do is irrelevant now. It just sits there, being perfectly comfortable and happy. Got the entire game. Put it on a Merc with bats. Great. I don't know if I've seen this effect anywhere else. It's also not a very widely played card, 45p. I can't think of many decks I would play it in. This is about the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
Because it's paying life to do something relatively useful generically forever. And there are very few cards that have that kind of ongoing effect. Like, I use a lot of what are called cheat death cards in any deck I have in black, because what they say is, play this card, when the creature dies, it doesn't. Like, they're great, they're really, really good, but they tend to be instants, or they tend to be an aura that goes on a creature that you then sort of lose when the creature dies and comes back again. So they're not persistent. This is pretty much persistent. Unless the creature's exiled, you will never lose it. Also, you can use it as a blocker. If someone tries to attack you with a big thing, you can throw, let's say it's Sam, who's a 2/4, you can throw him under a 20/20 thing approaching you. If it hasn't got trample, you will block the entirety damage with Sam and then regenerate him for free. And he will never die. It's such a cool ability. And it's also the kind of card people will look at and go, oh, right, so I've just got to destroy Sam, and then the aura goes away, and you go, yeah, good luck with that. Unless you've got any exile effects, he's not going anywhere ever. Yeah. And that's a very rare thing in Magic, so I think that's a very cool card.
Because regenerate is just tap the creature and remove all damage from it. It's not exile it and then bring it back.
Nothing like that. It just stays on the board. Nothing happens to it. It does tap it, so you can't use it like on a turn rotation to block 3 different people, but it is a really powerful, really simple effect where the drawback is nothing to you. Right. Vat of Rebirth is a 1 black mana artifact from Phyrexia All Be 1. It says, whenever another artifact or creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on this artifact. And then for 2 and a black and tap it, remove 4 oil counters from this artifact, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. In any deck that sacrifices things, and a lot of decks sacrifice things, building up to 4 oil counters is child's play. 2 and a black, to tap it and have something come back to the battlefield is an undercosted effect. The cost to do that is normally 3 and a black or more, and they're on instants or sorceries that you can't recast easily. With this on the board, if you're sacrificing 4 foods a turn, which, to be fair, in this deck, you're probably not. This might be a bit slower than that.
Not until the late game anyway, depending on what you've got out.
If you're sacrificing 1 or 2 tokens, you've got the ability to effectively get a creature from the graveyard that someone exiled, destroyed, removed, whatever. Well, not exiled, but anything destroyed, removed, or got rid of, and just put it back on the board. Just put it back down again. There you go. 2 and a black. You can't kill it. It will keep coming back. The reason why I say, in this deck, it's good, don't get me wrong, but if you're playing a deck that likes to sacrifice creatures, like, I have a deck that uses Mobilize and Zergo tokens, sacrifices things every turn, you can return a creature every turn.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to do. Like, this is a sleeper. I don't know why more people don't play it. It's just crazy good. 26p? No one plays it.
Wow.
No. You've got, hang on. You've got Sephiroth from Final Fantasy, haven't you? So this would be insane in that deck.
Sephiroth from the starter set, yes.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was the proper one.
Not Fabled Soldier. I mean, I have Fabled Soldier.
Yeah, it's an expensive card. We'll give you that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yes, that is it for today's episode. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. we'll be back next week with our next deck. Chris, would you like to give a hint as to who the commander we're going to be talking about is?
It's Tom Bombadil.
There we go. Lord of the Rings. You got to do Tom Bombadil. Anyway, we're going to go.
That was my really vague hint.
Yeah. We're going to go. We will see you all in next week's episode. Goodbye.
Bye.